She hit record. Okay. Yeah, we recorded also. We'll put it on, we send it back to everyone who registered.
Got it.
Because usually more people register than come. They have a conflict at the end, whatever. And that way it's like people watch live and then they watch it back. So,
yeah.
Okay. I will hit start. There you go.
Oh, that's dramatic.
Just so you know, we're going live.
Just so you know.
2, 1.
And we are live. We will wait for people to start coming in. And then we can say hello. Actually, a little bit of a delay. There we go. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
As you're joining, please tell us who you are and where you are, and if you're engaged, when your wedding date is, or if you're married, your anniversary date. We like to know who we're talking to.
Or if you just love diamonds.
If you just love diamonds, tell us about that also. Still tell us where you are. We'd like to know where the diamond lovers live. Let's see. Who do I see? Rebecca. Hi, Rebecca. Hi, Alex. Hi, Alice. Oh, hi, Alice. Michelle, Madeline, Christina. Nice to see everybody. Telling us where you are in your wedding date is also how you're going to enter the giveaway. So make sure you go ahead and do that when you chat us. New Jersey, Philly. Okay. 2 Phillies.
Love it.
Sheila, Maddie, Christina. Hi, Christina.
We got some 2021 weddings. A lot of New York people. That's great. You can visit Kwiat.
Yes, New Yorkers. You're at a slight advantage today. 2021, 2022. Oh, postponed from October 25th.
Remember when we all were like, October 2020 weddings will happen?
I do remember that.
That seems like a long time ago.
I know. But I'm going to keep saying what we've been saying, which is I feel like 2022 is going to be like the biggest party year of our lives.
For sure.
Yeah.
We're all ready to get dressed up and go out.
Yeah, exactly. We're all going to go out every night. We're going to go to everyone's going to fly to every wedding they're invited to. Okay, as everyone's joining and telling us where you are, I'm going to dive into like a little bit of housekeeping. So thanks everyone for joining us for our event today with Kwiat. We're so excited that you're here and you're going to love all of the diamonds that you'll be seeing during the event. As you saw in your invite, we have a really fun giveaway today. Someone who attends is going to win $1,000 credit on a purchase of $1,500 worth of jewelry from Kwiat. So you can use that for wedding bands, bracelets, necklaces, other jewelry. And we're going to show you so many gorgeous things that you can win. And you're going to enter by posting your name and your wedding date or your anniversary date in the chat throughout the event. So we'll announce the winner at the end. A couple quick things. You are watching this event today in Big Marker. That's the name of the platform. There's a teeny tiny delay. We can't see you or hear you, but if you chat us, we can read your chat and your questions. So that's how you're going to communicate with us. You can put questions in chat and we'll answer them as much as we can. And anything we don't get to, we'll look at in Q&A. And you can actually upvote things you want to hear about. And I would also always say, just have a little bit of mercy. We're all, well, Greg's at the store, but Juliet and I are working from home like you are. So just know that. Okay. And so now we will start to introduce ourselves. Greg, we're so glad to have you here today.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. We know that all of the brides and grooms here today want to know more about jewelry for their wedding, and there's so much to learn. For those of you who don't know, Greg's the CEO of Kwiat Diamonds, which creates the industry's most timeless and iconic diamond jewelry. We're going to do a more formal introduction in just a minute. But before we do that, I just want to tell you a little bit about Love Stories TV and Bridal Fashion Month if you're not familiar. So I'm Rachel. I'm the CEO of Love Stories TV. We're a video platform for wedding planning and inspiration. On lovestoriestv.com, you can watch real wedding videos from all over the world, and they're all tagged with all of the wedding pros that made the day happen. So if you're looking for wedding jewelry or a wedding dress or a venue or a planner or a videographer, you can watch real wedding videos and find all the products and services you need for your wedding. And this fall, we are hosting our inaugural Bridal Fashion Month, which is a series of live events like this one, where we're teaming up with some of the top names in the bridal industry to give you previews that are usually reserved for editors and VIPs, since New York Bridal Fashion Week isn't happening in person. So we're so glad to have you. And now I will kick things over to Juliet to tell you a little bit about herself and to do a better introduction for Greg.
Okay, great. Yay. Thanks, Rach. So I'm Juliet. I'm the head of marketing at Love Stories TV. I got to go to the Kwiat store last week, which I've been to before, but especially in this year, just seeing sparkly things made me so happy. So I got to try on a bunch of the beautiful diamonds that you're going to see today. And in my opinion, this is like the next best thing to actually seeing them in real life. So we're going to show you a ton of different diamonds. There's going to be a lot of great education from Greg himself, who is the CEO at Kwiat. And I'd love for the audience to get to know you a little bit better, Greg. So before we get into the videos, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and Kwiat?
Sure. Well, it's nice to see you all today. My name is Greg Kwiat. As they said, I'm the CEO of Kwiat Diamonds. It is a family business based here in New York City. My great-grandfather founded our company in 1907, so this is our 113th year in business. I work alongside my father and my two brothers, so when we say family business, we really do mean it. And fortunately, we have a great time working together. I have been doing this for more than 15 years now. I detoured into the world of finance for a short bit and then joined with the family a little over 15 years ago. I love what we do. It's really a joy to be part of people's happy occasions, to help them find the perfect diamond, the perfect ring, to be invited to be a small part of their milestones. And so we're excited to be here with you guys today. There's no question I don't want to answer, so hopefully we can have a lively discussion about anything you want to know. And there is our store. Our store is on Madison Avenue at 66th Street. It is the Kwiat and Fred Leighton store. Both of those are our brands. Kwiat is fine diamond jewelry, and Fred Leighton is vintage jewelry. And so you see, we work at Kwiat from everything from important, very fine pieces like the one you're looking at now, Ashoka Diamond necklace, and things from engagement rings, wedding bands, diamond stud earrings, your classic diamond styles, everyday diamond jewelry, and then very important stones like the ones on the screen right now. Those are some big diamonds. And I love to talk about those, so always fun to do that.
I got to try on some of them, and they are just even more magnificent in person.
Yeah, so these are some images of our windows here on Madison Avenue, showing some of the varying styles in the Kwiat collection, from classic diamond Riviera necklaces, design earrings for important occasions, sapphires. We work a lot with sapphires, emeralds, and rubies, as well as fine diamonds. And we're known for quality in what we do. We take great pride in the fine quality of the diamonds and the craftsmanship of the jewelry. And we've been doing it a long time, and we think of it in very long terms. We want to build jewelry that's going to last for generations. This is going to become a part of your life and going to tell your stories over the years that you own the piece, and then pass it along to your family members.
Here's me coming into the store, kind of giving you guys a little tour. The setup is so beautiful too. When you walk in, you just feel it's so majestic. And there's so many beautiful, unique diamonds in there. I had a lot of fun learning about them, and I'm excited to educate all of you with Greg himself. So again, if you have questions about any of the diamonds that you're going to see, or perhaps you're shopping for a wedding band or some wedding day jewelry, be sure to ask any questions in the Q&A section. And you have Greg here, who is the expert, and he can answer anything for you, which is great.
So you're seeing some of the pieces from the Fred Leighton collection right now on screen. Very different from Kwiat. Kwiat classic diamond jewelry, Fred Leighton vintage jewelry, including vintage rings. So if you have questions about vintage engagement rings, that's fair game, that topic. I can certainly help you think through those as well.
And so, Greg, tell everyone, when you say vintage, are these antiques that are purchased, or are they designed vintage? Talk a little bit about what
I was going to ask that too, Rachel.
So when we speak about vintage rings and vintage jewelry in general, what it means is jewelry that was created in a previous era. So to be antique, something needs to be 100 years older or more. And so when we talk about antique, you're really talking these days about the early 1900s back into the 1800s. At Fred Leighton, we specialize in the last 250 years of jewelry history. So we have things from the Georgian and Victorian eras, and the Art Deco period, the Edwardian period, all the way through the mid-20th century, the 1940s, 50s, 60s. So when we speak about vintage engagement rings, we're often talking about rings that were created in the 1910s, 20s, and 30s, but really at any point in the past. They would have lived a life already, and then now we've bought them at some point along the way, and we're making them available again. Some people like a ring that has a little history to it, has a style from a previous era. At Fred Leighton, we do design and create jewelry that has a vintage feel to it as well. So that's another part of our business. So if you like the look of vintage, but would like something that's newly made for you, we work with that as well.
I didn't know that, and I feel like I should know. Whenever I learn something on these events that I truly didn't know, I'm always like, oh, that something had to be over 100 years to be antique.
That's right. That's right. Which is ironic because the Art Deco period, which is one of the most popular periods in jewelry, is coming up on 100 years old now. So the word antique is broadening, especially as it relates to jewelry. It's broadening to include a whole lot of jewelry history.
Amazing. So, Greg, I know that our audience has maybe heard of the 4 C's before. If you know anything a little bit about diamonds, you might have heard of that. But can you give us a little more education on what the 4 C's are in the world of diamonds and what is helpful to know when you're looking at diamonds?
Absolutely. So the 4 C's is the framework we use to educate people about diamonds. These are the most important elements of quality that you would like to understand as you shop for a diamond and as you understand what makes one diamond different from another diamond. What I often tell people in the process of searching for an engagement ring is that a very broad range of possibilities can be achieved. So if you're balancing a lot of these trade-offs, the goal of the process of buying an engagement ring is really about balancing the trade-offs to find the perfect choice for you. And those trade-offs include the size of the diamond, the budget, the color, the clarity, and the 4 C's. So the 4 C's are the color, the clarity, the carat weight, and the cut. The color refers to the presence of yellowing in the diamond, and the scale begins at D, and it goes all the way through Z. So each step down that scale from D, which is the best, which is really the absence of all color, each step down the scale is an increasing tint of yellow as you go forward. Clarity is about the presence of inclusions or imperfections in the crystal structure of the diamond. You've heard the term flawless. That's the highest grade you can get on the clarity scale. But then there's a whole range, including VVS 1 and 2, VS 1 and 2, SI 1 and 2, and all these terms describe increasing, as you go down the scale, increasing presence of what we refer to as inclusions in the crystal structure. Generally, my guidance for people is you want to not see anything to the naked eye, but there's a balance in there where you can trade off certain clarity grades to get other things like bigger size or keep it in a certain budget range. Carat weight is about more or less the size of the diamond. The more a diamond weighs, the bigger it will look. And so that's probably the easiest one to understand. Cut is probably the hardest one to understand. Cut is about angles and proportions. It's different from shape. So shape like oval or cushion or round or Ashoka cut, emerald cut, these are all different shapes of diamonds. But cut is about angles and proportions. It's how you take a rough diamond and turn it into a polished stone. And when a diamond is beautifully cut, it's bright and brilliant and lively. And when a diamond is poorly cut, it's dull and lifeless. And it's really not worth it, no matter what the color and clarity is, because you want your diamond to be bright, brilliant, sparkling. And so cut is the most important of the 4 C's. Round diamonds have a cut grade from the GIA. Other shapes don't, but it doesn't make a difference whether it has a grade or not. It's the most important thing. And I always tell people that they really should focus on that.
I feel like most people focus just on the carat weight.
So that's a big consideration, right? When I say what matters most, the reality is size is the first thing you're visually going to see when you look at a diamond. And for everybody who's ever gone through the process, size matters, right? So size is a part of this process, and it's one of the key trade-offs. And to get a size that is right for you, you might trade down on some of the other characteristics to keep it in a budget zone. And that's totally fine. That's actually exactly what we recommend to people going through the process. You just want to make wise trade-offs. You want to make trade-offs that when you have the ring on your finger, will ensure that it's still bright, beautiful, and something you can love forever.
I feel like it's kind of like shopping for an apartment in New York. You're sort of like, what are your non-negotiables? You know what I mean? Like,
that's exactly right.
And
I've yet to meet a person who has the perfect apartment with nothing at all that's something they wish they could have changed. But you know what? That's life, and that's okay. And same with a diamond. You're not looking to get flawless, because at the end of the day, that's going to cost a lot more money, and you could rather get something a little lower quality that's still beautiful in a bigger size. And that's the trade-off.
And it also, I feel like I notice a trend where whichever partner is like researching and purchasing the diamond, I've seen a lot of people get really like into it. Like all of a sudden they're a gemologist, and the person like receiving it is like, I just want something like big and sparkly. But like when you are learning about it, you get really, you know, into those details, and the recipient doesn't always become privy to that. And I feel like I always notice that sort of relationship happening.
So I have worked with many people of all types, and people approach this very differently, but there are some people who do exactly what you just described. They spend hours researching and learning and teaching themselves. And by the way, I love when people do that. I think an educated customer is the best customer, because they really understand what matters. But I also caution people, my family has spent lifetimes doing this. A couple hours on the internet will not make you the definitive expert. And so you do want to have a good guide in the process. It's really important to have someone you trust, because a little education can make you think you're an expert, and you can make mistakes that way.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's so true. And so when you're thinking about like COVID, or maybe people that aren't in New York, obviously people can come to the store and meet with Kwiat team members. What's on the site? Like, I know you do some custom. So like, what can people expect to see if they are researching online?
So I'd love people to go to our website to research, because I think we put out a really practical approach to understanding diamonds. It's not just about education, but it's about education with an understanding of how it impacts the process of buying. We have a full catalog of our rings. We have a great design your own ring tool. We have a concierge. You can work with a real human being, someone who will help guide you through the process. And so we spent a lot of time over the last 6 months really thinking about the online experience, since it is harder in a world of COVID for people to come into the store. And even more than that, you know, we have clients around the United States and around the world, and to bring the experience to them through the internet that we can provide in our store is really important. I think it's one of the hallmarks of shopping at Kwiat is that you get a very customized experience, an experience personalized for you. We're really responsive to what you want and to help you create the ring of your dreams. And so whether you're working in store, or whether you're working with our concierge, or whether you're doing it yourself on our website, we try to give you all the tools to understand and then find the perfect diamond and the perfect ring.
Amazing. And so this is a great segue into the next thing I want to ask you about, which is the proprietary shapes from Kwiat. So Kwiat has platinum rings that are 3 different cuts that are just exclusive to Kwiat. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So one of the things we pride ourselves on here at Kwiat is creating fine quality diamonds, beautiful quality diamonds, and we have very strict standards. And we have 3 diamonds that are our proprietary stones, one of which is the Ashoka Diamond. Ashoka is a beautiful shape, very unique. It's a kind of like a rounded, elongated stone. So it has the corners that a cushion cut might have, but it's got the length of an emerald cut with a very unique faceting pattern. And it's an exclusive to Kwiat in the United States. So if you want something different, something that nobody else has, the Ashoka is a very unique diamond, and it's certainly worth looking into. Our Tiara Cut, which is our version of the classic modern round brilliant diamond. This is really a modern round brilliant done to perfection. So it's got all of the right angles and proportions so that it looks bigger and it is brighter and it returns more light. And it's really, that we call that our Kwiat Tiara Cut. I talked about Ashoka, which just flashed on the screen, and then our Fred Leighton round is really a perfected old European cut. So the way that diamonds were cut in the early part of the 1900s was a little bit different than today. And the old European was really the standard of the time for the round stone. It has a different arrangement of facets in a way that makes the diamond feel a little more subdued, more of a diamond sparkled by candlelight. And we have the Fred Leighton round, which is really about making the old European in a perfect way. And then, of course, we also work with all of the other shapes of diamonds like cushions, ovals, and emerald cuts. And all of these are popular. And I think that our specialty is variety. Our specialty is working with all of the range of shapes so that people can really find their own beautiful ring. The Marquee shape, which is on the screen now, is a favorite of my was a favorite of my grandfather. It continues to be a favorite of our family. It's kind of come in and out of fashion in interesting ways, but today we see a lot more people interested in the marquees, but setting them sideways, as we saw in that image. So again, finding the ring that speaks to you, finding the shape that speaks to you. Finding the shape is often the first step of the process, right? So that we always encourage people, try things on, see what you like, see what speaks to you.
Definitely. Okay, we're going to get into the diamonds that I tried on. Tell us about what we're seeing here, Greg.
So this is the Kwiat Tiara Cut, a classic modern round brilliant, simply set in a platinum mounting in our Kwiat signature setting. This is a wonderfully simple ring, beautiful, classic, timeless, perfect for anyone who's got a very classic aesthetic.
This is fun.
So that is an Ashoka in a large size with a halo. Halos are a beautiful way to set a ring. In all sizes, there's a cushion shape on your index finger with a halo. Halos are great because they are a beautiful design element, but they also give the ring a little extra scale. And so it's a great way to design a rounded diamond and make a beautiful ring. Here's an Ashoka again. This is the Ashoka I was talking about, the elongated stone, rounded corners, unique, crafting pattern. It's very unique shape.
Yeah.
It's like my hand was falling over.
Whenever I see this ring, it reminds me of Elizabeth Taylor. This is a very similar diamond to Elizabeth Taylor's, the famous Elizabeth Taylor diamond. Large Ashoka cut. Well, it's not really an Ashoka. It's a square emerald, so it's not quite a perfect square, just a little bit elongation. But it's that step cut, beautiful look of the Ashoka and the emerald.
That's so pretty.
Hard to beat this.
Stones on the side.
Those stones were baguettes. That was interesting. We set the baguettes sideways and kind of created like steps along the side of the stone. There's that east-west, the Marquee east-west.
It's so original. I mean, I understand what you're saying. It's like Marquees has been around forever, but setting it east-west feels so fresh and really different.
And by the way, it's not just for Marquees. Sometimes when people want something different, east-west is a great way to do that because you can take a classic shape like an oval or an emerald cut, and when you set it east-west, it has a modernity to it that's very fresh. Mm-hmm. Cushion shapes are beautiful. That is a gorgeous cushion. Cushion shapes are actually the oldest cut of diamonds. The original diamonds years and years ago, when diamonds were first found and cut, were cushion shaped, and that has a lot to do with technology that was available. But the cushion shape is probably the most enduring of all the shapes. Round is probably our most popular, but cushions are the oldest, and a beautiful cushion is really something to behold.
This was my favorite 20-carat oval. I'll take that.
If you could dive into any stone that you've shown, that oval is it. That's a 20-carat oval. It's as gorgeous as it gets.
Pretty.
But we work, of course, we're showing some of the larger rings. At Kwiat, we work from, half a carat all the way through 20, 25 carats, 30 carats plus. But, at the core of our engagement ring business is, of course, in the 1 carat, 1.5 carat, 2 carat plus stones. And these are all beautiful, but the shapes that you're seeing, it's a good idea to translate. All of these translate to the sizes in all ranges. So
now we're getting into some trending pieces. Tell us about this. This is so unique.
So we have a lot of interest in color alongside the diamond. So whether it's sapphire, ruby, or emerald, rings that have a pop of color. And here you have a sapphire halo around an oval. Again, just different, fresh, something unusual. Well, this is a special ring. That is a pink diamond. Pink diamonds are, of course, very special, very rare. Jennifer Lopez made it very popular when she got an engagement ring from Ben Affleck years ago. Kind of put them front and center. But pink diamonds are very special. And yellow as well. Yellow is also rare, but not quite like pink. So yellows can be very affordable, in line with the price of white diamonds. This is a radiant cut. Many yellow diamonds are cut in the radiant cut shape, which is like either a square or a rectangle with cut corners and a kind of a very bright, brilliant faceting pattern, similar to a round stone. And yellow diamonds, beautiful yellow diamonds, are really great.
So, Greg, we're getting a lot of questions about precious metals. And so we all know that platinum is, the best of the best, the top of the top. So can you tell us a little bit about why jewelers, recommend platinum and what makes it so special? I think there's a lot, we're getting a lot of questions about the metals themselves.
So my go-to metal is always platinum. At Kwiat, when we make engagement rings, our first choice is always platinum. And I'll tell you why. And there's a couple of reasons. One is that it is the purest of all the metals. So when you talk about jewelry, in a platinum ring, 95% of the metal in that ring is going to be pure platinum. And it's mixed with 5% of other metals to give it strength and to give it its final composition. In gold, only 75% of the metal itself is gold, and the other 25% in 18 karat gold is going to be something else, again, to give it strength. So platinum is more pure. It's also rarer. Platinum is one of the rarest metals that we work with in jewelry, much more so than gold. And so when you want to talk about enduring value and rarity, platinum is really it. When you talk about use of platinum in jewelry for practical purposes, over a long period of time, rings take a lot of wear. And when they take a lot of wear, they get thinner. Platinum will hold up better over a long period of time than any other metal. And so that is why you've seen over the many, many years that engagement rings have existed, and over the 100 years plus that platinum has been the predominant metal for engagement rings. That's why you see so many done in that metal. Now, if your style says that you want a rose gold ring or a yellow gold ring, that's okay too. But if you're a white metal person, platinum is the way to go.
My personal story I always tell is my cousin is a jeweler, and he was making our wedding bands for my husband and I. And I remember saying, and it was a gift, and it was so generous. And I remember saying, make them gold. We're doing this as a gift for us. I don't want you to, it's so generous to spend your time and. And he was horrified that I was so willing to just be make them gold. He's like, no, they have to be platinum. They have to last you forever. And it was my first real lesson in that. Yep. He was you want to have them forever for the rest of your life. And that's, what I want them to be. And that was my personal experience with that. I was so casual, and he was horrified.
I'll also tell you that it used to be that platinum was a more expensive metal than gold. And I say used to be because these days gold has gone up in value so much that the difference between a gold ring, an 18 karat gold ring, for example, and a platinum ring, it's really minimal if there's any difference at all. And so to the extent that it was a price choice at some point in the past, that doesn't really even apply today. So there's really no reason not to get a ring in platinum if your choice is white metal. I did see a question about titanium in the Q&A.
Yeah.
Titanium is an interesting jewelry and metal when it comes to jewelry. It's very lightweight. It can make great large scale pieces very wearable, because if you have big earrings in titanium, they don't pull on your ear, or a big brooch doesn't flip forward. But it's very brittle as a metal when you're working with it, and when you're wearing it, it is really not advisable to do an engagement ring in titanium.
So helpful. This is so helpful.
Okay, we're going to get into another video showing some wedding bands and wedding day jewelry. And there's actually a great question to tee this up. So Christina is saying that she's an emerald cut solitaire engagement ring with a simple 18 karat gold band. And she's having a hard time finding wedding bands that will look good with it since they don't sit flush. So maybe as we watch this video, or if you can speak to it now, if you have any suggestions for that. I feel like wedding bands it's such a specific and hard thing to kind of get right depending on your ring.
So rule number one, when it comes to picking a wedding band, is that you should throw out all of the rules. Find what works for you. Find what you love. There's no rule that says the diamonds in the band have to match the center stone, or that it even has to sit flush. All of these things that you want are personal choices, and if you like them, they're great choices. But take all those rules that everyone tells you about wedding bands and put them aside. The right rule is, what do you love? Because that's the right answer. So it is hard to find rings to sit flush. A lot of engagement rings are created in a way that doesn't really allow the band to sit perfectly flush. Because in order to do that, you either have to lift up the center stone of the engagement ring or create a notch in the band, or either an engagement ring or the wedding band. I don't love that. I think you have two rings. They should both be beautiful independently, and they should work well together. Now, it is possible to get rings to sit flush, but if your engagement ring doesn't allow it, then go with that, right? I mean, you could consider moving your engagement ring to the other hand and wearing the rings on separate hands, or you can just wear it with a little bit of space. It's never bothered me. Many people do that. You get used to the idea that there are two independent rings and they can look like independent rings when worn on your finger. So I don't feel like you have to feel bound by the constraints that you've heard about things like bands sitting flush or stones matching.
I think so. What are some of the styles we're seeing here? These are beautiful.
So these are some of the larger eternity bands. Eternity bands, of course, refer to when the diamonds go all the way around the bands. We make bands like this in both eternity and half circle or partway styles. This is an emerald cut band. When I explain our eternity band collection, we do all shapes and all sizes. So you'll see this is Ashoka cuts. I think those are 1 carat each Ashoka cuts, going all the way around, but you'll see we do with ovals and radiants and round diamonds, emerald cuts. We make every shape, and that allows people to come in and really get the feeling of creating a band that is for them, for their finger, for their style.
Are you seeing some people do the eternity bands as engagement rings also? I've had like more than one friend. You know how your friends send you, they're like, bookmark this somewhere so that when my future fiance asks you. And I've had more than one friend send me an eternity as an engagement ring.
So it's an interesting question. I have actually seen more of that recently. I think I put it under the heading of people defining their own style, right? So conventional wisdom says an engagement ring has a center diamond, but there's a lot of people who say, you know what, I prefer a band in place of that. And actually, for the same budget, a band like this might even look bigger in scale on your finger than an engagement ring, just because you're talking about individual stones of smaller size, even if the look overall is bigger. And so some people have opted to go in that direction. It's not the traditional way, but it's perfectly acceptable. Like I said, all the rules, put them aside. They don't apply. You should do what you love.
I love that. Okay, men's bands.
I feel like men have so many opinions on their wedding bands.
So it's interesting. At Kwiat, we mostly focus on classic styles, and I find that it tends to work for most of our clients. Occasionally, people want something a little more designed, but many of our bands are classic, whether they're plain rounded bands or square bands or bands with little, mill grain edges, which are just kind of like coin edges. But they're mostly, I would file them under the heading of classic, easy to wear. You can decide on the width, you can decide on the metal. There's a lot of choices that you still have. I think for most men, something they can feel comfortable wearing every day. So that's our selection of Kwiat. I think it covers most people's desires.
And do you find, I'm always so curious about this. I my husband and I have the same band. Like I wanted to have matching with him, which I didn't even think about at the time. And now I realize it's like really old fashioned. I don't think that's very popular anymore. And like, I'm just so interested in like what the trends have been over time of like how the men's and women's, and by the way, men's and women's is really an old fashioned way to think about it. It's like both partners' rings. You could be two men, you could be two women, you could be a woman whose style is more traditional than men's ring. Like we are want to be totally inclusive in the way that we described this. But in terms of partners, bands, like matching or being coordinated, what are the trends there?
So I'll tell you, the big trend is personalization, right? People want to have jewelry that feels like it's not just off a shelf. It's something about it is unique to them. And so we see matching in a very broad way. We sometimes see people get matching bands. Usually that means plain platinum bands for each each of the partners. We see sometimes engravings on the inside that match. I recently did something where the woman's engagement ring was a marquee shape, and we put a little marquee diamond on the inside of the men's band, just so there was a kind of a link between them that made them feel as if there was a matching element. I see a question about whether men want diamonds in the band or just metal. Most of the bands that we sell are plain platinum bands or plain gold bands. Rarely do the men want the diamonds, but there are some who would want that, and we have done those on a number of occasions. And sometimes it's diamonds along the side edges of the ring. So if you think of this side, not on top, so it's more of a hidden detail. It's not like the primary thrust of the ring. But again, I go back to individualized style should drive the decision.
So another question we're getting is, this is looping back a little bit, but I want to touch on people's questions is, we talked about why platinum is, the choice of Kwiat and most jewelers and a little bit about titanium. But I do think people have questions about like white gold. Is white gold just a less expensive metal that looks like platinum? Because I understand if yellow gold is your taste, it's your taste, the color. But white gold, why would someone... Why?
So white gold and platinum look alike, right? If I showed you a piece of jewelry in both, you probably, certainly if it's new, you wouldn't see the difference. So that's why I do recommend platinum over white gold. I think if you're thinking about a white metal ring, I do think that platinum makes the better choice. I think that if you are, the reason historically to get the white gold is to save a little bit on cost, but I don't really think that is. I don't really think that applies as much today.
Yeah,
if you have a ring and it's in white gold, it's still a beautiful ring, and it's still, it still works and lasts. And we do make jewelry in white gold, so it's not that that's in some way a negative. But if you're asking the difference in the choice, I'd lean to platinum.
That makes total sense. I'm reading the questions as they're coming in.
Should we get into day of jewelry?
Yeah. And let's talk about the borrow program.
Yeah, this is such a brilliant idea.
So we have a program at Kwiat where when people buy their engagement rings and their wedding bands from us, we will lend a piece of jewelry for the day of their wedding. This is a relationship business, and it has been for over 100 years. We have families that we've worked with since the days of my great-grandfather. And so one of the things that we like to do is help people and be part of their most important moments. And one way we do that is by lending a piece of jewelry for the wedding. And that could be a pair of earrings or a bracelet or a necklace or whatever. And the style is that you would like to go for. I always tell people, get your dress and decide on your hair, and then come and we'll sit down and we will look at possibilities for the wedding jewelry. So we've been doing that for a number of years now, and we always get great feedback on it. We're proud of the program, and I think it really builds long-term relationships.
Yeah, I love that. So what are we looking at right now?
So this is a great bangle bracelet with Ashoka diamonds. You see the Ashokas are set to a pair of them east-west, interspersed with Ashoka diamonds north-south. So these are also Ashoka diamonds, but this is a great wedding style. I think that when it comes to jewelry on your wedding day, I'm a big believer that it can be a very special part of your overall look, but you don't want to overwhelm. You want something simple, classic, timeless, something that when you look back, the jewelry isn't the primary story. You are the primary story. So things like simple drop earrings or a simple pendant, a bracelet. I mean, these are great choices because they will complement what you are wearing and how you've chosen to do your hair and makeup, but they won't take away, they won't be the primary focus of your big day. And so, I mean, this is a beautiful pair of hoops, side-facing hoops. I'm not sure that's the best wedding day option. It's a little bit stylized, but for, everybody's different. And I think everybody, I keep going back to individual style, but that's really what it's about. It's your wedding day. Make it your party.
And so someone's asking, you talked about the Kwiat site and the concierge online service. So if someone from out of state does make a purchase, can you do lending, or is lending exclusively for people in New York?
We can do lending. We can, you'll work with our concierge. And so you'll get to know Megan is her name, and you'll get to know Megan. And when it comes time for your wedding, you'll coordinate with her, and we can absolutely work with you, even if you're not in the state of New York, and even if you can't make it into the store. Still a possibility.
That's awesome.
Someone else was asking if there's a specific jewelry or piece from Kwiat or Fred Layton that brides typically choose for their lending program.
So I think the most popular style is a classic drop earring. And that was an example one that just passed through the screen with the Ashoka diamonds and the halo. But I think that's a look that's both youthful but important and special without being overpowering. So something simple that drops from the ear on a wire. These are great wedding styles. And so that's probably, of all the different things I can think about, that's probably the most popular. And we have lots of different varieties of that, lots of different shapes and designs. So there's not one more than the others, but that look is the one.
And speaking of wedding day jewelry, what about with gifting? Like, I know that sometimes, a groom will gift a bride, or a bride will gift the other bride, like jewelry to be worn on that day, or just like as a special gift, or, sometimes people may gift, probably not to their bridal party, these types of diamonds, but sometimes to mothers. So is there any trends or popular pieces you've seen for day of gifting as well?
So we've seen a number of gift ideas. I think probably diamond stud earrings is one of the most popular because it is something that you can absolutely wear on your wedding day, but has a very, very flexible and long-term use after that. It can be a daily staple of your life. And so we see a lot of people buying diamond studs. And that, I recently had someone who bought a gift not just for their fiance, but also for their mother and mother-in-law. And that was a lovely gesture, I thought. It doesn't have to break the bank. We have things that start, even in the $500 to $1,000 range. And so if you're, feeling that that's a gesture you want to make, I always encourage people to, show the appreciation and thank those people and show love, because jewelry is more than just about beauty and wearing. It's really also marking the moments of our lives. And that piece that was gifted on a wedding day will forever have the memory and meaning of the wedding day that it carries forward. And so I think giving gifts of jewelry on special occasions is a great way to mark that time.
That's one of my favorite parts about wedding videos, when the gift of jewelry is given and you get to see the reaction, and there's usually a note involved, and you feel it's such an intimate moment that is so special. And you could just picture that piece of jewelry being passed down through generations, and it's so meaningful. So you really get that sense with Kwiat. It's such special pieces.
I think that's one of the most special things about jewelry. In the moment you sometimes forget it because you're looking to buy something or have something that is something that you love in terms of style and fashion. But my wife, for example, recently received some pieces from her grandmother, and they remind her every time she sees them of her grandmother. She thinks about her grandmother and how her grandmother wore these pieces. And it's a way of preserving memories over generations and lifetimes. And, there's not a lot in life that can do that. And jewelry is really special that way.
Totally.
So I have a question relating to, like, you touched on it with, like, it's the style you like today versus, like, the longevity of jewelry. And so we always, get these questions. We were sharing on Instagram that we're doing this event with you. And we always get questions around, what if I what if I don't like my ring when I receive it? Like, what if my partner surprises me and I don't like it? What can I do? What's the way to handle that in the moment if I really don't like it? Or, you know, some people 5-10 years later, their styles totally change. Like I saw a question earlier about rose gold, and you mentioned rose gold, which right now is like extremely popular, but like wasn't in the past. And like, it's not like platinum, you know, that, you know, it's always going to be sort of like classic. So like, what's your advice to people if they don't love what they received or years later they want to change it?
Okay, so while we talk about these decisions as being long-term, and they are, they're also not permanent, meaning you can make changes. You can reset a diamond ring. You can put a diamond that you received today into a new setting. And for most people, the setting is less of the total value than the total, the diamond is the bulk of the value. So resetting a diamond into a new setting is definitely an option. And that's something you can do 1 year, 10 years, 20 years down the line. Another thing we've done is, let's say you have chosen to go in yellow gold, and 10 years later you decide that it's just not who you are anymore, or vice versa. You have a white metal ring and you find that you're only wearing yellow gold. Rings can be plated. It's not a permanent solution, but it is, from a style perspective, if you wanted to plate a yellow gold ring in white metal, you could do that, and by doing that, it would then appear white. Now, those things fade over time and they'd have to be redone, but they're inexpensive ways to tweak and change the look of your jewelry.
I always use this anecdote. I remember my mom had her wedding rings like totally redone. And I was like in high school. And at the time I was like horrified. I was like, Daddy chose those for you. Like, that's so mean. And she was like, one, like, did he pick these out, or like, did your grandma pick these out? And two, like, I want to love them. I want to feel as excited about them. She's like, when I received them when I was 26, I would put my hand out the window and stare at my ring and like move it around. She's like, I want to feel like that again. And now that I'm much older than that, the one she has now, I'm like, oh my God, it's the most gorgeous ring in the world. Like, of course you wanted to like have it redone. And like, it's just, I think your initial reaction sometimes to that is like, you jump at this one reaction, but what you said is exactly true. It's like, you want to love it forever. And it's, and I think that's something I like to remind people. Exactly like you said, it's long lasting, but not permanent. Those are like different.
Yeah. And I'll tell you another thing we've done when we've reset engagement rings. So sometimes people choose a new setting for their engagement ring, and then they don't know what to do with their old setting, which has some meaning to them, but it's just not how they want to wear the ring anymore. We've often put a colored gemstone, and it can be inexpensive. I mean, an amethyst is, purple is a beautiful color, and amethyst is a beautiful stone. And if you put an amethyst in an old mounting, it's for, $50, $100, $200, you can actually create another ring, and you can keep your original setting as a wearable piece of jewelry. And so to the extent that you have some sentimental value, you don't lose that.
That's a great idea.
I love that idea.
Okay, we're going to go through some last minute questions. Jenna's saying, she's asking for tips on the best setting or prong recommendation for a marquee diamond along the curve of a wedding band.
Okay, so marquees, it's an interesting question. It's a good question, because marquees, because of their points, you want to set them in a way that protects the stone. Let me start just with an engagement ring. We would often protect the points by putting what we call little V-tips, just little prongs at the points that cover the tip so that it doesn't get damaged easily from a hit or some kind of daily wear. The answer in a wedding band is it kind of depends on the design of the wedding band, because really it's as much about the design and style of the band. You could do bezels around a marquee shape. You could do prongs, usually then with the little V-tip at the points. But it goes back to the style of the ring as much as anything. So that's a little bit non-specific, but I think that's probably the best I can do without a more specific style.
Okay, Greg, here's the question everybody wants to know. How do you hint to your partner about the ring that you want? Like, we all know we've been on both sides of this, but like, you're the expert. Like, what have you seen work the best? Keep everyone's feelings safe, get the ring you want. Like, what is your pro tip here?
Okay. So today there are more ways than ever to try. Okay, so I'll start with a few. If you have Pinterest and you put together a Pinterest board, that's going to be a pretty good indication of the styles you like. everybody, I tell all the guys I meet, every woman has someone in their life that they confide in. It could be a best friend, it could be a sister, it could be their mother, it could be anyone in their life. But many people have that one person to whom they tell those types of secrets, where they'll have the discussion about the engagement ring well before the moment comes. And I say to the guys, it's your job to know who that is.
Yeah.
And go seek out their help, because they're going to probably know what to tell you in terms of the shape. They're going to know what to tell you in terms of a setting. They might even know a finger size. And they might say, oh, she has a Pinterest board that she's been creating, and it should give you some good ideas, or she just sent me this picture. And so, that is a great way. So if for all the women in the audience today, or all those who might receive an engagement ring, think about sharing with someone, so that when your partner thinks about who they can ask, that person's prepared with the information. Now, again, that works for a lot of people, doesn't work for everyone. Some people have very open dialogues. It's not like it once was. It used to be, and I don't know how long ago, maybe the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, if you were a man, you didn't ask opinions. You kind of did it on your own to the best of your ability. Maybe there were fewer choices. Maybe you just kind of had a better sense of style, or you just went with what you thought was right. Today, the dialogue between couples is much more open than maybe it once was. And so I find that there's a lot of people who go shopping together, a lot of partners that go shopping together and look at rings. Maybe that first shopping experience is together. And from that one experience, the important details of shape and style and ring size, all those can be communicated. And then you can step out of the process and, let your partner take it from there. But in today's day and age, with all the technology we have and all of the way that we've advanced to just open dialogue about a lot of things, it's not as hard as it once was to drop some of those hints.
Good advice.
Oh, this is a good question. How often should you clean your engagement ring? Can I clean it myself?
You absolutely can clean it yourself. Stores sell lots of things to help clean engagement rings. The truth is, the best way to do it is warm soapy water and an old toothbrush. Let the ring sit in the water, let it soak a little bit, take the old toothbrush, just brush it down, try and get the bristles under the prongs or behind the setting just to knock off any dirt that's collected. That works almost as well as anything else that you can do. Of course, you can always bring it into your jeweler for rings. When people buy their rings here, they can come anytime to the store, and we have the ability to clean it here at the store. But if you keep it clean, everyone's different, right? If you do it once a week, you're doing it more often than most. But if you're not getting it that dirty, you might not need to do it more than once a month. It's not hard to do. So whenever you feel like you look down at it and it doesn't have the same sparkle that you think it used to have, that's usually because it got kind of dirty. And you'll see immediately when you clean it, it kind of brings the diamond back to life because you've gotten the dirt off of the back of it. So as often as you feel like it needs a little shine up, then by all means, go for it.
I'm like touching mine right now, trying to remember that.
My favorite gift to give to someone who just got engaged, Rachel, I think you gave me this idea actually. This is like a small little gift, but I feel like it's really useful. Get like a little ring dish from anywhere, and also include those little bling wipes that are just like to-go wipes. So like you can do it on the go in between kind of taking it to your jeweler to get cleaned or doing it with the toothbrush and soap. But I feel like that's a good on-the-go tip.
And I see a question about the type of soap. The answer is like a soft dish soap, like a Palmolive or even a Windex. Anything that cuts grease will work well on a diamond. It won't damage, the soft soaps like that won't damage metal, they won't damage diamonds. Now, I will say be careful with other gemstones. You don't want to use some other gems like pearls. You really shouldn't clean pearls with these types of materials, but a diamond and platinum or gold will be fine with that kind of soap.
Good advice. Okay, let's get Jenna's question, and then I think we can announce the giveaway. So, okay, wait, another one popped in. If people want to make an appointment at Kwiat, this is really key. Tell everyone how to do that. Then we'll get Jenna, and then we'll get the giveaway.
You don't have to make an appointment to come to our store. We're at 66th Street and Madison Avenue, and you can come in anytime you'd like. If you know that you're going to come and you make an appointment, we can prepare to receive you and to even have things ready to show you based on what you want to see. So, we try to be really inviting and warm about it. We we want you here. We want to make you feel comfortable here. And so anything we can do to have a dialogue even before you come in that makes you feel more comfortable, that would be very welcome on our part. And so just feel free to reach out to us, reach out to our concierge, reach out to the store. It's the most important thing to me is that the whole team be very welcoming and warm. Jewelry stores can be intimidating, and I recognize that. Sometimes I myself can be intimidated by other stores that seem, very snooty, but I really want our store to always be a place where you feel comfortable and welcome. So, that's the long answer for you don't need an appointment, but feel free to be in touch with us.
And it's 100% true. I've been to Kwiat a few times, and everyone has been so helpful and taken the time to answer my maybe kind of dumb questions about diamonds. But it's really, you can tell that the people who work there are so passionate about expressing just the radiance and the beauty of these beautiful jewels. And I really feel like I learned so much whenever I'm there, and it's not intimidating at all. So don't worry about that.
That's really important. And that actually kind of segues in. So someone asked the question, gold is customary in Jewish tradition for the wedding band, but if I want the longevity of platinum, what are your thoughts? And, just as a segue, I think that this is exactly why you need to meet with jewelers in person. There's so much tradition. There's so much specifics. Juliet, there are no dumb questions, but there are a lot of questions just like this. So you really need someone who's been doing this for a long time and knows.
There are people who are actual gemologists, because
right.
You have to be an expert in this to know what you're talking about. And the team at Kwiat is just so helpful. I mean, I already learned so much, Greg, from just this past hour. I hope you all have too.
Well, thank you. I see another question about the tradition.
Tell us about Jewish wedding bands.
So the Jewish tradition speaks about an unbroken circle, which usually is interpreted by having a band with no stones. Gold is probably the most traditional way to do that. I have had people who've gotten married in platinum bands, but it is probably gold, but it doesn't have to be yellow gold. It could be a white gold, but you can do that if you want. What we've done for a lot of people, sometimes people will buy a very simple gold band for the ceremony, and if they want a diamond ring as to be their wedding band ongoing, they'll buy that as well. And a plain gold band is, again, if it's for the ceremony and it's thin, it's not terribly expensive. So it's something you can do kind of in addition to the diamond band that you might be wanting.
And I think also exactly what we were saying, it's this is why it's so great to talk to Greg, someone who understands all these traditions, but it's also to his point about personalization and doing your own thing. I'm not a particularly religious person. I had a Jewish wedding. I have a platinum band, whatever, guys. You know what I'm saying? Unless I think that it's do what feels good to you and you're excited about it, you think looks beautiful, and you can make traditions your own. That's the whole point about weddings, right? It's things evolve over time. And Juliet made a point about her favorite part of wedding videos is seeing people receive the gifts. And I actually think that's something really powerful about wedding videos, is seeing how people take traditions. And religion and culture is such an important part of a wedding, because you're not starting from scratch. You're starting from a set of traditions. And then you make it your own. You make styles your own. You make fashions your own. Unless you're a very religious person, you might modify religious traditions to make them your own. But having this base information from someone like Greg, I think is what you need. And that's why we like to host these kinds of events, because weddings are steeped in tradition and you want to understand those things. Should we get to the giveaway?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I think the magical elves have chosen a winner and sent it to someone on the Kwiat team, who sent it to Greg. Is that right?
I am sitting here with the winner in front of me, or the name, I should say.
Okay.
Out there, someone is getting married on May 28th, 2021. Christina Manis, you've just won the $1,000 gift card to the Kwiat Boutique.
Yay!
Congratulations.
We will get in touch with you. So exciting. Greg, what do you want to tell everyone before we let you go?
I just want to thank you all for your time. This has been a lot of fun for me. As you can imagine, the last 6 months, I spent a lot of time at home. But we've all gotten good at talking to each other through computer screens. And so I hope that it was as fun for you as it was for me. And I just, thanks for you guys as well. Hope it's been interesting.
I learned a lot. I know Juliet did too. So if people have more questions, Make sure you're following Kwiat on Instagram. Also, make sure you're following Platinum Jewelry on Instagram. They're the sponsor of Bridal Fashion Month and obviously a partner on this event as well. And we talked a lot about Platinum today. They, just like Kwiat, are experts in precious metals and jewelry and can answer your questions on both those Instagram accounts. You can always DM Love Stories TV Instagram. We will get in touch with Greg if it's a question for him. We also have an email address, bff@lovestoriestv.com, where you can ask any questions. We'll email everybody who came today and registered with a playback in case you want to see more of these gorgeous styles and refresh your memory on the questions. And what else, Juliet? Am I forgetting?
I think that's it, Rach. Thanks so much, Greg. This is
Greg.
wonderful. I hope you can visit the Kwiat store again soon and try in some more 20-karat diamonds. Congrats, Christina. We can't wait to see what you get from Kwiat.
Yeah, we're excited. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.